Welcome to the beautiful area of Muswell Hill, and here we're at the bottom of the hill, but don't worry, we're going to be climbing 330 feet, over 100 metres, to the top. Well, actually I say that, I'm going to drive up it and then park my car and show you around. But anyway, this is the bottom area of Muswell Hill, and the top comes very shortly, and it gives you amazing views. But there you go, that just gives you an idea of the steepness of the hill. Don't look like much? Ha! Wait, have we got a side street to show you? Right, here we're in the centre of Muswell Hill, and I've also got to say I'm loving doing these sort of tours around the different areas, and this one has been requested I don't know how many times. And Leslie, if you're watching this, hurrah! At long last, we've definitely got this one. So Muswell Hill itself is one of those areas at the top of London which neighbours onto both Hampstead Garden suburb and also Highgate, so it's got great views back across London. Very, very residential, but then in the centre you've got this big roundabout where the buses stop, but you've also got the shops going down the main high street off it as well. What I love is just how striking the high street is. So you've got all your shops, you've got lots of independent ones as well as some chains there as well. But then just look at the buildings sitting on top of the shops, how beautiful they are and how in sync they all look. So let me tell you a little bit of history about Muswell Hill. Well, the earliest records of Muswell Hill date from the 12th century. The Bishop of London, who was Lord of the Manor of Haringey, owned the area and granted 26 hectares, 64 acres, located to the east of Colney Hadge Lane, to a newly formed order of nuns. Now the nuns built a chapel on the site and called it Our Lady of Muswell. Now the name Muswell is believed to come from a natural spring or well, the Mossy Well, said to have miraculous properties. A traditional story tells that the Scottish king Malcolm IV was cured of a disease after drinking the water. The area became a place of pilgrimage for healing during medieval times. Which is quite unusual really, because I've heard the water in London's got very many properties, but none of them healing. Anyway, sorry Thames Water. Now the River Moselle, which has its source in Muswell Hill and Highgate, derives the name from this district, and it was originally known as the Mossa or the Mosella. Until the 1950s, the town's name was often pronounced Muswell Hill. In the 18th century, Muswell Hill was a scattered village consisting mainly of detached villas with very large gardens. In 1787, one commentator wrote that nowhere within 100 miles of London was there a village so pleasant or with such varied views. Now you've probably seen that church with the spire there a few times in this video already, and it's really quite dominant. It's called St James's at Muswell Hill, and it really does have a dominant view across Muswell Hill when you're up here. Now we're here in the middle of North London, just slightly to the east, so you get great views of Canary Wharf, and then you can swing round and you see the City of London as well. And the amazing thing is, because the hills are so steep, all of a sudden you'll come across a side road or a car park like we did just there, and you get amazing views. And also what I really love coming down the main road here is that also you've got lots and lots of independent shops. So if it's one of those places that you fancy coming to have a little look and seeing something that's a little bit independent, this is a great place to do it. And how about this butcher? Wow! And for those of you that love their food, drink and also cheese, I did try to get the shopkeeper's attention to see if I could go in there and film. He was non-forthcoming, but we can go back another time and try. You never know. But there you go, independent butchers, and you've got all the different meat hanging there. Now this is one of the side roads off the main high street. Just look at those houses going down there, and you can see that the way the houses are built, how much the road just drops. And then you've got that view over London once again. And I also love the way that when you view really down, you can see all the terraced houses, sort of North London going towards the West End, just down there in front of you. It's just a beautiful view, and you can stand here for hours taking it in. And as a residential area, if you're parking your car on a hill like that, you want to make sure you've got a good handbrake and good set of brakes on your car. Anyway, going back to the history, it wasn't really until the 19th century that Muswell Hill began to be developed to more densely, from a collection of country houses to the London village that it is today. Now the development was spurred on by the opening in 1873 of Alexandra Palace, which is a massive pleasure pavilion built on a mostly easterly North London's gravel hills and intended as the counterpart to Crystal Palace on Sydenham Hill in South London. And interestingly enough, we have a video coming up on this channel very soon on Alexandra Palace. It wasn't until the earliest 20th century when the current street pattern was set out and the elegant Edwardian retail parades were constructed. You know, those beautiful sort of flats above the shops that we showed you earlier. Now, the shopping centre is based on roads which form three sides of a square, which is Fortis Green Road, Muswell Hill Broadway, and the extension of the Broadway into Colney Hatch Lane. Now, at three of the critical points here at Muswell Hill, you've got a church. Now, one of them is the United Reform, one is a Church of England, Methodist, and also a Roman Catholic church. Now, one of the churches, which is opposite St James's Church of England, was also the site of the Athenaeum Music Hall, which was later demolished with the site redeveloped as a supermarket. Here we're looking down the Fortis Green Road, and as you can see, you've got more shops with beautiful flats sitting above it, and here you've got the Everyman Cinema. Now, this has survived. It was an Art Deco cinema built in the 1930s. It was originally the site of the Ritz, which was a cinema formerly at the top of Muswell Hill. And I have it on good authority that if you fancy a really good bagel in London, the shop right next to the Everyman Cinema is the place to go. Now, speaking of food, this is one of the best places if you fancy fish and chips in London. And I know this because I used to work here in Muswell Hill on the Broadway. Now, what makes this so good? Well, to be quite honest, it's not just the fish and chips, but it's also the service as well. So, unlike most fish and chips where you can just go in, order, and off you go with your takeaway, this is a restaurant. So as you can see, I've surreptitiously filmed in here, but they do your fish to order. And just look at this, fish on a plate, chips on a plate as on in its own bowl, and look at that gherkin as well, along with a black coffee. Absolutely beautiful. And I can tell you, the fish lived up to its reputation and how I remember it from, some 15 years ago. Fish and chips. So, Toffs here at Muswell Hill. No, they haven't paid me, and I did have to pay for my meal afterwards, so it's not a promotion. This is a recommendation. So whilst I'm showing you around Muswell Hill, and there you go, there's the fish and chip shop that I've just been eating at. God, I still feel full from it now. Three young Muswell Hill residents from 1964, the brothers Ray and Dave Davis and Pete Quaff, formed the Kinks from here. What I really love most about Muswell Hill, again like other little bits of London, it has its own villagey feel. So if you remember our videos on Hampstead and also Marylebone High Street and some of the other fantastic places, they all have their own separate villagey feel. You're in London, but it feels like you're well and truly removed. And once again, just look at those buildings there above the shops. Absolutely beautiful. And it's that mix of the commercial district along with the residential. Living around here, it will cost you a pretty fortune. And interestingly enough, in March 2013 and June 2020, Muswell Hill was named one of the 5 most desirable places to live in London in the Sunday Times Best Places to Live guide. And here I just want to give you a feel for one of the side streets off the main Muswell Hill Broadway, which sort of snakes round to Fortis Green Road, and the sort of the places that you can, well, potentially live at. Now, a number of these will be built and have then been turned into flats, but just look at these and just look at the sort of the verandas and the views out that you get from the first floor as well, which are absolutely incredible, and how much greenery you've got around here and how beautiful it looks on a lovely summer's day. So within this video, we want to show you some great places to eat, some of the places to visit, the main area of Muswell Hill itself, and also some of the residences. But one of the other areas that lots of people go to is this, which is a well-known garden centre in the Muswell Hill area. Now you're probably thinking, Steve, why are you taking us to a garden centre in Muswell Hill? Well, the reason for that is not just to show you the pretty plants, but once upon a time, up until 1988, this was an open air swimming pool. It was a Lido, which was extremely popular in the area, but unfortunately it was closed in 1988 by Haringey Council. The unfortunate thing was it had a massive swimming pool that was here, so therefore the whole place has been taken over by a garden centre, because in Christmas 1989 a young entrepreneur decided to try selling his hand at selling Christmas trees in the car park of the closed down open air swimming pool. He was extremely successful, and then the garden centre was born, so it's well worth coming to visit here anyway, and they've got a nice coffee shop. Haha! So that was Muswell Hill. Heard of it? Have you been there? Let us know in the comments down below. Now, if you love the villagey feel of there, I mentioned Marylebone High Street, and I put a link to that video up in the top right hand corner. I'll see you in there.